Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. Today we're talking about industrial real estate, and now we're going to key in on a large part of industrial real estate for business owners and industrial real estate owners, and that is logistics. And we have Mr. Logistics here with us in Studio One, Paige Siplon. He's CEO of Team One Logistics, and I'd like to call you Mr. Logistics. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me again.
We appreciate it. And one of the things that seems like people have been curious about, and it's kind of been slow to happen, is the deepening of the Panama Canal for these big container ships, right? And so where are we on that, and what's the impact so far? Where are we?
Well, yeah, no, the Panama Canal has been a huge path of trade for commerce for a long, long time. Suez Canal as well. But the problem is that Panama Canal has been sort of a speed bump in these larger vessels that want to come to specifically the east coast of the United States. Ports like here in Georgia, Savannah, Charleston, really anywhere up along the
east so it's
coast.
The widening of the Panama Canal, and it's
right.
The deepening of the Savannah port, right?
Sure, yeah. Well, it's both sides, right? That
yeah.
cargo comes from Asia primarily, and it wants the cheapest route is to come through the Panama Canal. But again, the scale of efficiencies of those larger vessels, they just can't fit through the older Panama Canal. So they've been working on deepening and widening that Panama Canal for a long time. Current state is that it should be coming online in next year, in 2017. And that's really going to not really open a floodgate of new freight for a lot of your customers and the folks listening to the show, but it will continue the growth of freight that's coming, particularly to the East Coast. And become hopefully cheaper for that logistics to move through to the East Coast of the United States and ports like Savannah.
And how about the Port of Savannah? Where are we there on the deepening there?
Yeah, so that's another 17-year-old project. They started the process of deepening that canal, or getting approval to deepen the canal, or deepen the Savannah Harbor 17 years ago. It's one of the longest studied projects in the history of the United States, believe it or not.
Wow.
And so finally we got approval. The money's been in place. State of Georgia's put their monies on the table, and they've let the contracts to begin digging and widening the Savannah Harbor, which will, it's the fastest growing port in the country, and a huge conduit for freight, not just coming into Georgia, but coming into the southeast and really the eastern half of the U.S. So that'll be coming online in the next few years. It's a lot of dirt to move and dig out of that harbor, just like it was to widen the canal. So things are moving along in both directions. Panama Canal is getting deeper and wider. Savannah Harbor is getting deeper and wider. And I would also say, the rest of the ports on the East Coast are also gearing up to handle those larger vessels. The Port of New York has a bridge they need to raise or take down. The Bayonne Bridge needs to be fixed so they can get those larger vessels. So each location has different problems and challenges they need to overcome to handle the growth of freight. That's a great problem for us in the logistics industry.
Yeah. So what's that mean for industrial real estate owners, and what does it mean for business leaders related to their logistics?
Well, yeah, the freight comes to ports like Savannah, ports like all over the East Coast and West Coast as well, but it doesn't just want to come to the port. Me and you don't drive to the port to pick up our products, right? We go to stores. Well, there's an important point in between those two, and that's warehouses, commercial real estate and commercial industrial development in particular, which means there's going to be more of that online that's going to need to come online to be able to handle those products, store those products, divvy up those products to get out to the stores that we shop at.
Yeah. So does that mean it's going to be easier for business owners to get their products to their customers, and is there any relation to all of that in the last mile?
Sure.
A lot of people seem to be concerned with the last mile, getting things to us fast, right?
Yeah, well, so we're seeing a lot more, and you'll continue to see, and you know this better than I, a lot more distribution centers, a lot more e-commerce fulfillment centers. Home Depot just brought one online here in the Atlanta area. But we're seeing a lot of companies that are really rethinking how they plan out their industrial development, where they're putting their warehouses to get better access to population centers like Atlanta. And particularly for that last mile delivery. Consumers, we want to have those products faster and faster, cheaper and cheaper, maybe for free on the shipping side. How do you do that if your system and your network of DCs and warehouses aren't really set up for that? So we're seeing a lot of changes there to be handled that last mile.
What tip would you share with business owners who, related to logistics? Like I've got customers of the show or fans of the show who want our coffee cups, and it seems like shipping them has cost more than the cups. Any tips for business leaders related to logistics?
Yeah, and there's no silver bullet, right? I mean, there's no easy answer. I'd be a billionaire if I had the magic answer of how to.
Well, you're Mr. Logistics.
Mr. Logistics, right? But so the one I think broad answer I would give is that think about it holistically, right? Logistics is more than just an isolated part of the process. It's really involved in everything. I used to say, and still say it now, it's the common denominator beneath our economy. What I mean, though, is that manufacturing plays a role in that, which is connected to logistics, which is connected to last mile. And those supply chains are all different depending on the product you're moving. If you're moving products for Home Depot, or if you're trying to get your coffee mug on a smaller scale, you got to think about it holistically. So try to think about how you can improve your manufacturing process, reduce costs there. Workforce plays a big role in that. And then how does that connect into your logistics? And maybe you'd be able to offer cheaper or lesser cost shipping to your customers.
We're at the end of the segment here, but I'm good at selling cups, I guess.
Yeah.
but I'm not good at the other things. So what should I focus on? What I'm good at?
Yeah, focus on what you're good at and
cups.
find an expert that can handle the rest of it.
I'm a good cup salesman. So. Well, Paige, thanks for joining us today in Studio One. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Well, stay tuned. We'll have more on industrial real estate and logistics. I'm Michael Bull. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you by Bull Realty, Asset and Occupancy Solutions. Xceligent, building data everywhere. CCIM Institute, the industry's global standard for professional achievement. Valuate, easily share what-if analysis with colleagues online. And First Service Solutions, your CMBS borrower advocate. For more information on how these businesses may be of service to you, visit creshow.com.